Hey guys, so I wanted to have a little bit of a thinking out loud, free flowing conversation about a very important set of planets that are changing signs next year and what that might mean for you on an individual level. And what prompted this thinking out loud discussion is that right now in my brain, what is swirling around is I am preparing your 2025 horoscopes, your year ahead special forecasts, which is a product that I always have for sale on my website. And as I'm preparing the astrology, there's a lot going on in 2025. And one of the patterns that I am meditating on right now very deeply is the fact that Saturn and Neptune will both dip into Aries for a little bit of time. And this is going to happen for a little bit of time in 2025. And then these planets will retrograde and finish up their tour of Pisces, going into Aries full time in 2026. So, this is not going to be an exhaustive video explaining all the dates and everything happening with this. Like I said, this is going to be almost like I'm talking to myself because this video is helpful for me to kind of get this nuts and bolts feeling of this Saturn Neptune energy, which will ultimately be a conjunction in the sign of Aries, and what that means for you. It's not a video on what it means collectively. Okay, so I'm not going to be talking about world events. I'm going to be giving you a few phrases that I actually wrote down here as I was meditating on the ingress of Saturn and Neptune into Aries. And then I'm going to give you some very quick one or two sentence indication of what this could mean for you based on your rising sign and thematically based on your sun sign. So there will be a bit of a horoscope here, but it's going to be a very quick horoscope just to get the ball rolling, just to get you thinking and to have you understanding that 2025 is going to be a big year for so many of us, for so many reasons. But again, I'm going to focus on Saturn and Neptune and Aries. So before I try to organize myself and my thoughts and this presentation, hello there, welcome back. For those of you who are here and subscribe to my channel, I appreciate you and thank you for your time and your continued interest and support of me and my work. For those of you who are new here, stumbling upon this video because you're interested in Saturn and Aries and Neptune and Aries, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Maria D. Simone. I am a professional astrologer, and you can find out more about me and my work at insightfulastrology.com, where I offer personal consultations and I have an entire astrology school, and your 2025 special year ahead video forecasts will be available there to purchase by early fall of 2024. So let's talk about what I'm going to break this down piece by piece. Let's start with Saturn in Aries. Okay, so Saturn is the planet of limitation, it is boundaries, it is restriction. Saturn is commitment, Saturn is maturity. So wherever Saturn is touring in your chart by transit temporarily, it shows an area of your life where you have to get real. You have to be mature and realistic about this area of your life. And Saturn is moving into Aries for the first time in almost 29 years. Saturn is going to touch down on Aries in the spring of 2025. And Saturn in Aries is very much about overcoming a fear of one's self. Very, very deeply. Aries is about independence. Aries is about doing things your own way, leadership. It is about courage. This is about entrepreneurial energies. It is about dynamic pioneering efforts and making your mark in this world. That is the birthright of Aries. Aries is about one's identity. And Saturn is now creating some boundaries around the formation or the expression of your identity, of your independence, of your courage in some way, depending on where this transit is falling in your birth chart. So Saturn in Aries is saying, all right, it's time to get real about you, about yourself. about what you want, about how you go about getting what you want. But Saturn's not acting alone. Saturn has company, and that company is a bigger planet, Neptune. Neptune is going to enter Aries as well and touch on Aries in the spring of 2025 as well. Neptune takes about 165 years to go around the zodiac, which means Neptune hasn't been in Aries for that long. So, Neptune's the boss here. Neptune and Saturn are going to be traveling very close together. They already will be doing this dance at the late degree of Pisces, but that's a different storyline. I'm focusing more on what happens when both of these planets enter Aries, because that's the future. That's going to be a long transit that happens in our more immediate future over the next couple of years. And Saturn is going to get to about 1 degree 56 minutes of Aries by July 13th of 2025, and it'll be retrograde. And then Neptune will get to 2 degrees 9 minutes of Aries and be retrograde. So that means that these two planets by July 13th of 2025 are going to be almost exactly conjunct each other, not quite perfected, but good enough. We're going to feel it. We're going to feel Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries right around the 2 degree mark, July 13th of 2025. This conjunction happens by perfect math on February 20th of 2026 at 43 minutes of Aries. So we talked about Saturn in Aries. Now let's talk about Neptune in Aries. What is Neptune? Well, Neptune, oh man. Neptune is a planet that immediately feels like, like you're trying to hold a jellyfish or something very slippery in your hands. Neptune is a very elusive, difficult planet to describe because it is not of this realm, literally. Neptune is the planet of bewilderment. It's what you cannot see, taste, touch, feel, define. It has no boundary, it has no structure. Neptune is elusive, it is slippery, it is bewildering. Neptune is ephemeral. It is that which we cannot see, taste, touch, feel, smell, but we know exists. It is that intuitive knowing. So Neptune is an extremely spiritual planet for that reason. And with Neptune, things are not always what they seem to be. Neptune in its highest vibration is incredible, all encompassing spirituality and boundlessness. This connection of we are all one. There is no separateness. That's the beautiful part of Neptune. Neptune in its shadow energy can very much be confusing and deceptive, and it erodes what it touches because the job of Neptune is to dissolve boundaries. It's to break down the walls, not to build the walls. Saturn is more about building them, but Neptune is more about dissolving them, melting them, breaking them down. Neptune in Aries is going to be felt very much as almost like an ego dissolution for some of us. This energy of, well, can I have a solid sense of identity? Who am I? Who did I think I was? Is that person real? Like this questioning of that. That's the feeling of Neptune in Aries, wherever it's going to be traveling in your chart, generally speaking. And yet Neptune is not acting alone when he first ingresses into Aries. He's got Saturn there. So what this Neptune Saturn conjunction in Aries is doing very much, it might be this feeling of a confusing new beginning in our life that we're doubting because we don't know what really is defining us. Whatever has defined us up until this point in our life it no longer seems to make sense. It is breaking down, it is dissolving, it is evaporating because Neptune is the boss here. It's the stronger planet. Neptune is doing something to Saturn. Neptune is melting, dissolving, evaporating, confusing Saturnian energy. So the Saturn attempt to create that solid sense of identity and independence and courage, Neptune is saying, maybe that's not what you're going to be doing. Maybe it's time to let go of that idea. So I wrote down a couple of key phrases here that I want you to meditate on. And then I'm going to go through those key phrases and how they might apply to you based on your rising sign and sun sign. So to me, some key phrases of Saturn and Neptune and Aries is letting go of who you are to become who you're meant to be. Who you're meant to be, the inspirational, the inspired version of who you know you are in your deepest core. First, you have to let go of who you have been all along. And that's going to be an interesting dance for us. Another key phrase is releasing attachments to the self. Another key phrase is what are you fighting for? Literally, what are you fighting for? It's this image of us punching clouds. And or you ever see the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze? And there's that part where Patrick Swayze is in a train and there's a spirit, and he has this dance of realizing that the spirit is, he can see the spirit because he also is a spirit, but neither one of them can really be held on to. And so the spirit is going in and out of trains, and then there is no container, right? There's absolutely no container. So it's a frustrating energy when there's no container, but you want to be a solid something. So it really is that frustrated feeling of, I'm just punching clouds, I'm punching air, I'm not really, my punch isn't packing a punch. So what's the point of the effort? So it could be a frustrating situation with that Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. Another big theme that I think we're all going to have to grapple with. I'm going to read you a definition of this. I believe that a very big lesson connected to the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries is ultimately melting your imposter syndrome. So you all have imposter syndrome in a certain area of your life, and I'm going to let you know where I think it is for you based on your rising sign in a few minutes. But what is imposter syndrome? So literally from Google, it is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So we all might suffer from imposter syndrome at various points in our life, but now that Neptune is coming to make a conjunction to Saturn, we have an opportunity to melt imposter syndrome in a specific area of our life. And I think that's actually going to be really positive for many of us. It might be difficult for some of us to do, to confront that, but ultimately it's going to be really positive. So here's something else that I find to be very, very interesting and dynamic about the fact that Neptune and Saturn will be in early degree Aries together in 2025 and then in 2026 full time. At the very beginning of this transit, there are a couple of other planets in the sky that are going to actually provide extraordinary support to Saturn and Neptune and lift up the positive vibration and positive potential of this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your chart. What I'm talking about is the fact that Pluto will be in Aquarius. It already is, but Pluto is going to be in Aquarius full time in 2025. And Uranus from July 7th until November, early November, is going to be in Gemini. So what we're going to have is this situation of Well, Neptune and Saturn are in early degree Aries, but Pluto is making a sextile, and Uranus is making a sextile to Saturn and Neptune. And this is happening on and off 2025 into 2026. So that's support. Those outer planets are elevating the positive vibration of the possibilities here with Saturn and Neptune. So I do not believe that the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries is going to be this chronic disappointment. Even though you are going to have to let go of who you are in order to become who you're meant to be, it shouldn't be that difficult. There's going to be a lot of support. Even though you're going to have this recognition that you've got to release certain attachments to the self and that you got to think about, well, what am I even fighting for? And is it worth it? You're going to be able to do this in a supportive, easy way. And the most important lesson, I very much feel this, melting imposter syndrome. Every single one of us is going to have an opportunity to melt imposter syndrome in a certain area of our life, thanks to the Saturn Neptune conjunction. If you have planets in those first few degrees of Aries, oh my God, you are really going to be having an extraordinary life changing experience that I believe is positive. Because again, you're not just getting the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries to that Aries planet, but simultaneously you're getting a sextile from Uranus and Pluto. It's raising it up to incredible support, guys. So these are my beginning meditations and thinking out loud musings about the upcoming Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. So if you're still here, now let's talk about what this can mean. Where are you melting imposter syndrome? Well, if you're an Aries rising or an Aries sun, it's you. It's literally about you and your identity and your life path and where are you going? What are you doing? It's all about you. So this is deep. If it's Taurus, then it's about your spiritual inner world. It's about bringing what is your anxieties, letting go of them once and for all. And that's going to help you release that imposter syndrome. It's connected to your spirituality, maybe to your psychic gifts. Maybe you're going to finally admit that you're psychic. Okay, this is just one example. If you are a Gemini, this is about your social life, your social groups. And there is going to be a very big change here for you because you're going to release those social connections that are not really serving you and maybe even sabotaging you if they're not supporting your identity and your personal growth. For Cancer, it's going to be a little hard because that Neptune Saturn conjunction might be squaring your early degree Cancer planets. So it might be a little bit more difficult for early degree Cancers to have this conjunction, but it is happening in your 10th house of career. So the imposter syndrome is all about your career and your calling in life, your reputation, your standing. If you're a Leo, it is about your academic achievements. It is about your beliefs. It is about what you are, what you stand for. What do you stand for, Leo? It's going to change. Are you in school pursuing something that you're questioning? You may be changing that. But again, it's very supportive for you, Leo. Really, really very supportive. And you're going to have a lot of people in your life supporting your growth and your decisions as you do this because of Pluto in your partnership sector and Uranus in your friendship sector. Good stuff. Nothing to be afraid of. If you're a Virgo, this is your 8th house. So maybe some imposter syndrome around managing money, other people's assets, letting go of certain attachments connected to finances. It's going to be an interesting journey for you there. And also any trauma that you have, a crisis that you've been through. Has that become your identity? We allow our trauma and the bad things that happen to us sometimes define us and become our whole identity. And you may have to let go of that. You may be in for a journey, Virgo, a big healing journey connected to that. For Libra, this is about relationships for sure. It's happening in your 7th house. So are you sabotaging your relationships? What's going on there? Have you been your authentic self in relationships? going to be some interesting stuff for Libras for sure. For Scorpio, this is your sixth house. Just like sometimes we define ourselves based on a trauma or a crisis, some of us make an illness our identity. And if you're a Scorpio who has a certain health situation, certain illness, has that become your identity? You're going to have to melt that. You're going to have to change that. There's going to be some changes there for you for sure. Sagittarius, this is your fifth house, children, romance, creativity, and you may feel very inspired to take a different approach when it comes to these matters. And if you have been defined by a fifth house matter, like let's say you've made your children your life, you're realizing, well, they're not extensions of me, they're who they are. They have their own journeys, their own soul. And that's going to be an interesting thing for you to grapple with. This could also be you finally creating that dream come true energy around a creative project and believing in yourself enough to do it. So that could be your imposter syndrome. Capricorn, this is home and family. And this is going to be tough if you're an early degree Capricorn, because again, the energy is making a square to your sign. But early degree, it's going to be tough. The rest of Capricorn won't be feeling it yet. So this could be, has a family member tripped me up so much that I don't believe that I'm capable of doing something, of achieving something? Or am I allowing a family obligation to hold me back because of guilt? Capricorn, this is going to be a big theme for you, and it's just opening up next year. Aquarius, this is your third house, communication. This is your mind. This is your neighborhood, siblings. So there could be some imposter syndrome connected to the way you think. The patterns in your mind have to be shifted. But fortunately, with Pluto in your sign, you're going to be very empowered to do this, to cut the fat from your brain and from your mindset and to shift into really believing in your capacity to make something happen out of nothing. And you are going to be able to make something happen out of nothing, Aquarius. Really, really dynamic for you. And finally, Pisces, this is your second house. This is earned income. This is your livelihood. Have you been sabotaging yourself in this area? Do you not believe in your own earning power? Have you been just messing that up for yourself? The Saturn Neptune conjunction is going to call you out on your bullshit. And it's going to have you addressing this area of your life and hopefully setting you free from it and making you realize that there is not any limit to what you can earn and how you can earn it. The limitation has been in yourself only. So, again, I know this turned into a bit of a long video. Believe it or not, this is just one astrologer beginning a conversation with you, a bigger conversation that we're going to have, I'm sure, once I have my 2025 forecasts ready for you. This was just a little taste of what's to come, guys. 2025 is going to be a big year. We've got Saturn and Neptune changing signs. We have Uranus changing signs, going between Taurus and Gemini. We have a Venus retrograde in Aries. That's going to be a very big deal. Plus an eclipse. Eclipses in Aries, one in Aries, and then the day after Neptune enters Aries. So believe me, this Aries part of your chart is hopping. Venus retrograde between Aries and Pisces. Saturn and Neptune between Aries and Pisces. Eclipses in Aries and Pisces and Virgo. So much to talk about. So much astrology. Jupiter going into Cancer, Gemini and Cancer. Lots of astrology. So stay tuned. We'll keep having these conversations. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are connected to Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. Not so much collectively, not so much with mundane astrology, but in terms of your personal experience, what this is going to mean for you, because that's the type of astrology that I specialize in. It's breaking it down to you, how these planetary energies connect into your life and give your life greater meaning and definition and purpose. So let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.